Hi, my name is Rick Horton. This is my Module 8 case study. Um, Basically, a summary of the case. The scenario, there's a student named Carl. Carl's parents have recently went through a bitter divorce. Carl before was had some self-abuse, but his attitude has changed to like an aggressive behavior towards his teacher, Miss Taylor. Miss Taylor is a veteran teacher who's seeking help from the special education teacher, Miss Green. Miss Green is a fresh out of college teacher who's replacing Mrs. Lewis, who was the school special education teacher for 25 years. She was kind of like a big staple in the school district. Everybody looked up to, respected her. Um, Basically, what happened is Carl sharpened his pencil and threw it at Miss Taylor. She's upset. She wants Carl out of her classroom permanently. Miss Green has contacted the superintendent and the parents and the district special education coordinator. At the IEP meeting, Miss Taylor spoke first and suggested to remove Carl full time. Miss Green suggests a behavior plan for which Carl acts up. He's sent to the resource room to kind of get him redirected and then moved him back. The teacher, Miss Taylor, is not satisfied with this result. Problem identification. What do you know? What do I need to know and identify the problem? Um, let's start with Miss Green. She's just out of college. This is her first job as a special education teacher. She's having difficulty adjusting to the demands of a rural school. And basically, what that means is at a small school, we have to wear so many different hats. We have to do a lot of different things. Um, and she's replacing Miss Lewis, who taught there for 25 years. Everybody's used to the way she does things. She was looked up to by the teacher, and Susan's finding it really hard to fill her shoes. I skipped one. I'm sorry. Mrs. Taylor, she's a third grade teacher. She's Carl's teacher. She's been teaching for about 10 years, and she's really concerned about the safety of herself and her class. Carl, what do we know about Carl? Carl's a third grader. His parents recently went through a bitter divorce. Um, he went from self abuse to an aggressive behavior towards his teacher. He is diagnosed with a behavior disorder. He has an older brother and sister who are being treated for emotional problems. His brother is medicated with Ritalin. There's no problems with his intellectual functioning, so he works, within reason at grade level. Emotional problems are not severe enough to warrant full-time services. A little bit about the school district. It's in the Fulton School District. I'm sorry, about a little bit more about the school. It's in the Fulton School District. There's 16 districts that form a co-op that share resources. So that means between those 16 school districts, they share psychologists, nurses, and social workers. So the downfall there, it's cheaper for the school district. Obviously, it's the benefit. The downfall is there's not one permanently in the building. So that's going to limit the amount of help that we can get Carl. And one superintendent, he spends one day in each of the small townships. The case they didn't say how many there were. So each building has a teacher that's a full-time teaching, has a full-time teaching load, but they handle the minor problems that go on throughout the day and the day-to-day paperwork of the school. What do I know? Carl's been identified as having a behavior disorder. Miss Taylor and Miss Green met 4 weeks ago for Carl's IEP, and it wasn't big enough of a problem there to warrant anything. Uh, Carl is self-abusive, but he's become more aggressive. He sharpened a pencil and then he threw it at Miss Taylor's head. Miss Taylor is concerned about the just overall safety of the rest of the students in her class. Last year, when the old special education teacher was there, Carl was on a reward system for his behavior. So when he did something right, they would reward it. And this year, he is on a plan that where they take away privileges if he acts out. Mrs. Taylor wants Carl removed from the class. What do we know about Miss Green's actions? Again, Miss Green is a special education teacher. She already had Carl's IEP meeting 4 weeks ago. She did change Carl's behavior plan from what it was the previous year. She's contacted the district special education coordinator. They came up with an intervention system for him. They'll remove Carl from the general education classroom whenever he gets out of control, have him go to the resource room until he can gain control of himself. They'd like to find a male teacher to help, even though he's a third grader, he's still a decent sized young boy. She met with his superintendent, got approval on the plan, scheduled a new IEP meeting. After the IEP meeting, she has went and observed Carl in Miss Taylor's room, and she has talked to Carl. Miss Taylor's actions, she reported Carl's behavior, stated the behavior management system was not working. Obviously she throughout the things she's kind of has a grudge against Miss Green, or doesn't trust her because she's a new teacher. So um, there's that. She's stated that Carl has thrown rocks at a school bus. Um, Stated that talking won't help this out. He needs to be just removed from the class. She spoke first at the amendment meeting for the IEP, um, which isn't necessarily that bad of a thing, but she put her ideas out there instead of letting the team discuss what was going on. She was already talking about removing him from the class to the parents instead of letting that be collaborated upon and talked about with everybody. And as she's leaving that meeting, she stated that Mrs. Lewis, who's the former teacher, would have removed him from the meeting. What do I need to know? Why is Carl acting out now towards others? He's always been self-abusive, but what's going on now? The divorce is 3 months past, so you wouldn't think that that's the fresh thing. There's got to be something new going on. Are his siblings acting out in class or towards Carl? What's going on at home? Is Carl currently on any medication? And again, I know that could be a HIPAA violation, but it's actually in the IEP where most special services students are asked what medication they're on. They don't have to tell us, but normally they do. It's not really an issue. And and if he is on any medication he takes at school, obviously the school would know. And how does he act at home towards his parents and towards his siblings? What else do I need to know? Why does Miss Taylor want him out of her class so bad? Is there some other reason that she's unwilling to work with everybody and trying to make this happen in the classroom? What else is going on with Carl? Is there kids at school that are bullying him? Does he just want attention because he's not getting it home because of the divorce? Does a school or co-op offer any other services that could be beneficial to Carl? As far as counseling, support groups, or a buddy program. At my previous school, a buddy program was, again, we had high schoolers in our building with the junior high kids and the elementary kids. It was a true K-12 building. But we had high school buddies. We had kids that volunteered to come down, and they'd spend usually 2 20-minute sessions a week with these kids. They'd play games with them. They'd talk to them. And is there something like that we could offer for Carl? And what's the board policy if he does get physical with a student or staff? Because we're going to need to know if something happens. What are the actions that we are required to take? Identify the problem. Here the problem is lack of communication by all parties involved, and communication and collaboration. That's the key to special education, honestly. First, Miss Green and Miss Taylor should have worked together on the behavior plan instead of just Miss Green working on it and then telling Miss Taylor what it's going to be. There should have been both had input on the plan. Both teachers could have talked about the type of plan they wanted to use. There also should have been more communication with home. As soon as this happened, or as soon as these episodes start happening at school, parents should have been notified. Miss Taylor seems to have an issue with Miss Green. I think you probably need to bring them in together with an administrator and talk and see if you can talk this out and see what's actually going on there. Is Miss Green upset Miss Taylor at some point? Is she just not respect her because she's a young teacher? We just got to work through some of those issues. And finally, we need to find a way to get Carl to talk. And what that could be is, as a principal, I would talk to him first. I would go just kind of try to make a relationship with him. That way, if there was a discipline issue, we could talk and hopefully build a relationship so that it'll work out in the future. I would also, if I'm not a good enough solution, if he doesn't want to open up to me, I would try to find someone in the building that's got like similar likes to him. If he's a sports fan, find a guy that likes sports. If he's a music person, find one of our teachers that has a real passion for music. Even if it's like technology, surely there's some teacher that likes to play tech or likes to play games. Just find a teacher, somebody that's got similar likes to him, and let them try to form a relationship so you can have someone in the building that can help you out. Action plan. What are the appropriate strategies and how are we going to apply them or implement them? First in our building is going to be Carl. Get him to open up about why he's acting this way. Try to find a male teacher, someone that's got similar interests such as sports or music. And again, I need to address this problem first. I need to be the one to talk to him and just try to see if we can work something out. We need to have the best Carl we can have at our school. We need to have him with the best attitude we can have. If we remove him all the time, he's going to get a negative feeling about school. He's not going to want to come to school. It's just always, every time you say school, he's going to have a negative connotation about it, and he's not going to be there. It's going to hurt his overall achievement later in school. We have to work on communication between the classroom teachers and the special education teachers. If there's no communication between the two, there's no buy-in from each other. And if you want to succeed, if we want our students to succeed, you have to collaborate. And I know teachers are busy. I know things are crazy throughout the day. One of the things I went to is just a Google Doc where if something happens, the teachers can write me a quick note and I receive it, or we could just kind of keep contact with each other that way also. And it kind of helps us list documentations of outbreak or outbursts that students have had in class. Finally, I discussed the family possibility about some outside counseling. This could be, could help deal with the emotional disabilities of all the kids and maybe the parents' attitudes towards each other. Resolve the issue. Remind my entire staff that communication is going to solve a lot of problems at school, and especially communication between general education and special education. It's critical for students with special needs achievements. Remind teachers of what the IEP process is, and if they want to amend it, the steps that it takes to get there. It can't happen overnight. We have to set up another meeting and everything just to amend it. And that's not a problem, but just they need to know that it can't happen tomorrow. It's got to happen over time. And talk to Ms. Taylor about her actions towards Ms. Green. Be a mentor to her. Don't bring her down. It's impossible to live up to your predecessor. Even if you do a better job, there's still, everybody always remembers the good from the person before you and what they did. And remind her, she was once a first-year teacher. And just to remind me again about the IEP process, not to keep going back to it, but even if you want to change settings or add services or change services, all that has to be approved by parents. Both teachers and possibly a mentor need to check in with Carl frequently and see how he's doing to make sure he's able to control himself, and look into adding frequent breaks into Carl's IEP. This way he has a reason to excuse himself for a few minutes so he can get control of himself. If we can get Carl to work to where he sees these outbursts coming, just raise his hand, tell the teacher he's going to go get a drink, go in the hallway, calm himself down, come back and get ready to rock in class. Debriefing the problem by reflecting. What was I thinking? What's Carl's real issue? What's going on here? Because the divorce is 3 months out. It's not that fresh. Is there something else going on that we need to know about? Is he getting bullied? Is he getting picked on at home? Why will Miss Taylor and Miss Green not communicate with each other? These two teachers have to be able to work together, and they have to be able to communicate. And these plans need to be made together. Miss Green seemed to follow proper procedure. I think she did a good job as a new teacher, except with the communication with the teacher. Why does Miss Taylor treat Miss Green the way she does? What's going on? Is there another issue or not? Is there any other issue at Carl's house? Or his siblings picking on him? Are the parents, is it just is he upset that no one's spending time with him because everybody's got to work now? What's going on? What was I feeling? What's Carl's home life? I almost feel sorry for the kids. Something is bringing this on. Why are we not collaborating more at school? That's just, like I've said so many times, we all know now collaboration is what makes schools work. Why are we comparing Miss Green and Miss Lewis? There's no reason to do that. Why does Miss Taylor have an attitude towards Miss Green? What am I valuing? The new SPED teacher sought help from the district coordinator. She looked like she took the proper steps to get everything done, and that's good training on her part. That the parents came to the IEP meeting. I've went to so many IEP meetings where nobody showed up, and then nobody got hurt. He had this outburst. It wasn't good, but no one got hurt in the end. Unresolved issues. Is Carl going to open up to anybody? I hope he does. I hope it's me, but maybe not. Will the communication in the building improve? It's got to get better. Will the teachers accept Miss Green? Again, who knows? Can the two teachers get past this? Is there going to be some hard feelings, or can they move on? And how are the kids? How are Carl and his brother and sister doing at home? What's everything like there? Is everything getting okay? Reflection. I'd meet with Carl and try to get him to open up with me if he could, and try to find someone else he will open up to. Talk to the family, talk to them about possible services that can help them, and keep them informed on how Carl's doing. I think since this has happened, there's got to be open communication between the home and Carl's parents. And talk to my staff about the importance of communication and collaboration, especially with special services kids. I met with Carl, discussed his behavior, asked him if he's being provoked. I think that's a big thing we have to find out. If he is being provoked, talk to the entire third grade about just proper behavior and bullying. And then I would just talk to my staff, remind them we have to communicate and collaborate to be successful. By supporting Miss Green, she handled the situation correctly. She seek the advice of the superintendent and the special education coordinator, and talking to staff about using the special education teacher as a resource through the expert in the field. We need to use them and need to collaborate and talk to them about it. And that's all I got. I hope that was good enough. Thank you for watching, guys.